Mission of Gravity by Hal Clement. So this is episode 31 of a series I'm doing called The Masterpieces of Science Fiction. And it's the 31st book out of 140 that I've read in this series. And this is also the 6th new author I've read this month. I came up with a challenge called New Author November. And this rounds out the month just in under the deadline, and got 3 female authors and 3 male authors read this month that I'd never read a novel from before. And this book was copyright 1954, and we've got cover art here by H.R. Van Dongen. And I've also got this old Pyramid paperback version, and it's got a little bit different artwork. It's a little beat up. It was issued at 40 cents, but it's still pretty cool nonetheless. Let's go ahead and talk about the book. So first off, let's talk about this planet. It's called Mescaline, and we don't really know why we had a team of scientists go here to research this planet, but that's how the book starts off. We've got some scientists around this planet called Mescaline, and this is a unique planet. It's very large, very dense, has very high gravity, and it's spinning really fast. So if you look at this picture that I used here on my thumbnail, it's kind of a globe that has been kind of squished down, and the gravity at the poles is about 700 times the gravity of Earth. But if you get down to the equator, because of the spin and distance from the center and all of that, the gravity is lower down to only 3 Earth's gravities. So it's very unique because there's such a vast difference between being at the poles and being at the equator. There's a massive difference in gravity. So that's the first thing. Now also we have these little alien creatures called the mescalinites, I think is how it's called. And they're kind of like a hybrid between a centipede and a lobster. And on this picture, if you look down, you can see this astronaut. He's on a mat and he's getting pulled by some of these creatures too. And so they've evolved on this planet to deal with this very high gravity. They have some unique things. They have a very strong fear of heights because any fall, even from a couple of inches, could be deadly to them. They're also very afraid of going under anything because if something were to give way up above them, it would fall and crush them. And it's also very interesting. There's a point in the book where our scientist astronaut is talking to them, and he kind of realizes that they don't have the reaction time to see something fall. So if something's being held and then it drops, all of a sudden it's just on the ground. They don't see it fall at all. So it's just very interesting the way maybe the aliens didn't have this really big, vast society and all this world building around them, but they had some really unique ideas around their concept of gravity and kind of evolving on this planet. Okay, so that's kind of the two things, this planet and these alien creatures. And we know we've got some astronauts and scientists around the planet to do some research. So when we start off, we kind of don't have a lot of background, but we have a scientist who's down on the surface of the planet in the equator zone where he can sort of manage the 3Gs. And he's been sent down there by the other astronauts to try to retrieve this probe that they sent down to gather some data on the planet. What happened is once the thing hit and was gathering the data, it couldn't escape the gravity to go back up to where our astronauts and scientists were going to retrieve this thing and get all the data. So I think our guy on the ground maybe drew the short straw, and he got sent down to try to figure out how to go about retrieving this probe. So he's down there, and right when we start off, he talks about making contact with these aliens. And they'd been in contact a few times, and there was one of them who was kind of the leader who was very good at language, and so he was able to learn enough English to where our scientists and these aliens could kind of start communicating. And they're very primitive in a lot of aspects as far as their technology goes. But they're good linguists. They have been able to get around the planet and survive on this planet. And this group of travelers, from what we can tell, most of the alien presence, these mescalites, they kind of live between these two zones of high and low gravity. But this little band of adventurers that we find, these aliens, they had been floating around on a raft in this ocean that's on the planet, and they had kind of gotten closer to the equator than they had ever been, or that they had known any of the other alien creatures on the planet had been. So these were some real adventures, and they were down around this zone where they almost had superhuman strength because they're used to such high gravity that when they got down to the equator, they could lift things, they could move faster, they could do all these things that they couldn't do. They almost felt like if the wind blew hard enough, it would just kind of blow them off the planet. And so our scientist starts thinking, he's like, well, maybe I can get these guys to help. And so he persuades them to help him out and try to go on a mission to retrieve this probe. And really the whole book, after this initial setup, which only takes a little while to get into it, is this big adventure, mostly revolving around our alien creatures going to retrieve this probe. And there is time spent inside the point of view of our human scientist. There's part of this adventure that takes place kind of around the equator. So he's able to kind of help out and monitor them. They kind of pull him out of a predicament. That's kind of what this is depicting here. So he kind of gets himself in a predicament, and then they come and save him. And then he gives them radios so he can stay in contact with them even after they leave the equator. So these radios also can do video, so pretty cool technology. He's able to keep in contact with them. Our scientist on the ground is also in contact with the people still in orbit around the planet. And they aren't even really able to orbit around the poles because of the high gravity. So they're either forced to go way up above the poles and try to look down, or just stay around the kind of lower gravity zones around the equator. So that's the setup. We get a big adventure. It's mostly these creatures and what they come across. They're in unknown territories on this planet, areas they've never been to before. So they come across different parts of this ocean that they're trying to navigate around. We have cliffs and other geological formations that throw them for a loop. We have other alien tribes that they come across who may or may not be friendly, and we have issues with them, and they come across all kinds of hurdles. They have a little bit of help from our humans' technology, and our humans are kind of feeding them information along the way. They're looking at the weather. They're telling them, maybe trying to help them with some route finding where they can kind of see parts of the planet and kind of give them a heads up of what they're going to come across. And so it's just this really cool adventure with all of these science elements thrown in, because gravity is one of the biggest antagonists in this book. And so that's really it. I don't want to talk too much more about it. It was a lot of fun. It was great all the way around. It was only just over 200 pages, so there was a lot packed into this book. It read a little slower than normal, maybe because of some of the science and some of, trying to understand what Hal was explaining throughout some parts of the book. But Overall, you really don't need to know a lot about science to read this book. You could read it for the plot and the adventure and kind of not really fully understand everything that's going on with the science, and you would still have a great time with this book. So, pros and cons. This book, it's a fun adventure book with some really good hard science fiction. Now, way back when he wrote this, the science might be a little bit more relevant than it is today, but it was written in the 50s. We're going to give Hal a big pass on that. His prose isn't that bad. I think he kind of falls into this academic prose, very descriptive prose, but I enjoy that sometimes. I don't have to have a bunch of purple verbiage and all this, imagery to understand a book or get some enjoyment out of it. Now there's the aliens, they're a little humanized, and I think we see that a lot. It's hard to really imagine something truly alien when it comes to what these creatures want, how their biology works, how their interpersonal relationships work. We see a lot of this where you just kind of take human ideas and it's like, hey, he has a best friend. Is that really the case? Would that really be the case? No one knows, but we do get a little bit of that. And in a book that's only 200 pages and covers so much, it's abridged in some aspects. We don't have a lot of background on what's going on. We're kind of just there, and some stuff really doesn't get explained, some does. And so there's just a couple little small cons. But other than that, this is a fantastic book. I would highly recommend this to anybody who's into science fiction. If hard science fiction kind of scares you, this would probably be a really good place to start. If you've read some other science fiction, this is probably as approachable as The Martian, maybe even more so just because of the story adventure aspect of it. And like I said, the hard science fiction doesn't really get in the way of the story. It just kind of enhances it and sets up the whole setup and the plot conflict that we're kind of stuck with. There's even a little bit of humor in this book. They kind of, at some points, they're going through this adventure and they're kind of just thinking to themselves, like, is this really worth it? So there's humor and everything. There's just a lot about this book that I liked. And there's also 2 sequels. It makes up kind of a trilogy. We have Close to Critical and Starlight. So these are 2 that I will definitely be reading sooner than later. I don't like to let these trilogies kind of hang out there too long. Even though there wasn't a ton to kind of remember and keep up with, I think I want to get back into this world and hang out with these mesclinites again because they're really cool. Also, you can see the influence of this book. I recently read Dragon's Egg and Starquake by Robert L. Forward, and this to me is the direct kind of future of what this book is. I would say Robert L. Forward has way more hard science fiction that's kind of hard to get around and enjoy the book without understanding some of it. And a little bit less of the fun adventure part. It's still there though. He's got really cool aliens. It's like this kind of helpful environment again like we have here. And so very influential, very great book. Probably should have won the Hugo, but it is what it is. So that's where we're at there. I don't really know what I'm going to read next, but we're at the end of the month, and in a couple days I'll probably do my monthly wrap-up video and let you know what I got on my TBR for next month. So that's it for this video, and once again, thanks for watching.